So Tova, really glad to be talking to you. Really excited to be publishing this book. Bob and I were talking recently about how personal it is in some ways, how it's different from our other books, and that not only are you describing how to do something, but you're really describing a way of being. And I want to talk with you more about that. But to start with, I'm curious, like, how did you get involved in organization development to start with?
I'm thinking about you saying that it's personal. I think I don't know how to be any other way. And that's the beginning of answering what you were asking. My bachelor is in social work. And when I was studying and learning, I found out that even though I want to change the world, I was young and I still do now, I found out that then social work was done in a very hierarchical way. There was me, the savior, and the people coming to me to be saved or whatever. And the professional hierarchy was very strict. Mm-hmm. And I decided I don't want to do it. So I started studying, I went to facilitation training. And in the first training, the person who brought me, who was teaching me how to facilitate, said, okay, you're coming to our organization. And this is how I decided that my master's will be in organizational behavior. I liked that person. I liked what she was offering. Mm-hmm. And most of my life is way leading on to way. When I sense it's the right thing, I go there.
Mm-hmm. And then how did you shift into dialogic practice?
It's interesting. I don't think I have a good answer for that. But when I shifted to that, it was not called dialogic OD. It was 1997, for 5 or 7 years that I was looking for something else. There's a TED talk that I did that I'm describing it, but I'll try to do it in a nutshell. My sense was that diagnosis and the way that we were doing things, like Western medical doctors, diagnosis and prognosis, and then feeding the organization back and whatever, was making so much intelligence not available to the people because they were considered subjective, and subjectivity was then considered a crime. If you were not objective, like the consultant, the consultant was objective. If you were passionate about something, that was wrong to be passionate about something because you would paint it in a way that would be favorable to you or something like that. And something in me felt that the paradigm was wrong. And I went to my teachers, and I had very good teachers here in Israel, and nobody could help me with that. So I moved my family to the US for 2 years. And luckily, I met open space technology. And that was one way of answering what I was looking for, to take all the system in one room, and objectivity, so to speak, was gained by every voice having a representation. And because everybody saw it from all the angles, then something emerged that was called truth, or what was called meaningful to the people who took part in it.
Right.
And it was in 1998.
Okay. So the book talks a lot about beginnings and how we begin. And one of your points is that, dialogic OD is a series of beginnings, and that beginnings are fateful. And you talk a lot about the importance of beginner's mind. And could you say a bit more about why you think that's so critical for effective dialogic practice?
Okay. So just my ear got this series of beginnings. I think maybe even more, it is a constant beginning. It's not even a series. It's like a flow that we are always in a beginning, or some sort of a beginning. And in that sense, beginner's mind is being in the present with awe and wonder like a child, things happen to you and you look at them and you say, wow, the sun is rising again today, da 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 da. Very simple things that you let yourself shed the knowing, the expert type of knowing that it should be done this way or that way, but not the other way or whatever. And for me, this shedding started when I met open space technology, because the story that I just told you before comes handy here, because I saw a very small advertisement saying that clinical psychologists, Russian and American clinical psychologists, are meeting for a yearly planning meeting. They are helping Chernobyl community, the rehabilitation of Chernobyl community in Ukraine. And when I read what it is, the way that they meet, I said, this is what I need. This is what I was looking for. This is the new paradigm. I just could sense it. And I called and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm neither an American nor Russian, and I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I'm really passionate to come, and I'm an organizational consultant, and maybe I could be of any use. And I was very apologetic, and I was hoping that they will have me. And for them, they said, this is great. The fact that you want to come, how dialogic OD, people with passion to take responsibility. And I was so much diversity in one person. I was neither American nor Russian, not a clinical psychologist. So, and in the beginning, I was very judgmental with all my training in facilitation, how this graphical designer facilitator, she was behaving in a totally different way. Very personal, not the way I was told, and I was very judgmental. And 4 days later, I said, okay, I'm shedding it all. I feel great. The outcomes are great. Now I want to see what's happening here. And this is how I feel I shifted from being an expert to shedding the expert, with choicefully doing it, if I may say so, and choosing innocence. Choosing childlike behavior, and I don't care what people think of it.
Well, there's one story in the book that I think stands out, and you're working with a military organization, and it's a large group setting, and things are kind of going off the rails, and you decide to stand up and pretend to be an airplane and buzz around the room. And I see that picture of you in my mind, and I go, it takes some courage, and I think that's probably part of what you call, an authentic dialogic presence. This combination of beginner's mind, courage, and maybe some other things.
The other thing it connects with courage is I think the decision that being yourself is worth going through vulnerability. Vulnerability is not a weakness, and it's not shameful. And it's a decision to make. And it gives you a lot of gains, but it puts you in a shaky situation. So, but I think that once you decide that you're ready to be vulnerable as a prize, so to speak, for developing the authentic relationship with yourself and others, you see, you gain so much that I never wanted to go back. And I think that the authentic dialogic way is unique in that it's not being authentic. Yes, I'll do what I want and I don't care. It's authentic to yourself, to others, to the emergence, to the benefit of the whole. You have more than one loyalty, so to speak.
Yeah, and what struck me too is your point about how, as the consultant showing up in an authentic dialogic presence, part of what you're doing is modeling to your client how they need to show up in an authentic dialogic presence to hold the space for transformation.
Yeah.
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 But I never speak about it. You know, we speak about it. And in the book, I write about it. But a few places in the book, I write it, and I hope the readers will believe me. I don't speak in this language to the clients. I just do it. And many times, especially in organizations that are very punitive for mistakes, many mistakes will happen. And sometimes I will burst in laughter. Sometimes the mistake that they were most afraid of will happen, and I would say, great, so what, now what? You know, these little things that, and before I met Open Space, I would be full of shame and guilt, and like all of us. But something that came out of my work with Open Space that says whatever happened, and the only thing that could have, I really took it into my life. Mm-hmm. And I let it be, and I let my tendency to be spontaneous and to be authentic in personal life, I just took it to work. Mm-hmm. And it made my practice so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think.
And that, like, that openness to what we call mistakes, you know, to work with what emerges, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it isn't, and to kind of learn as we go, really is the core of that transformational change process, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the way, in the book, I call it Welcoming Climate, because if really it's fine between me and you that we can make a mistake, so it takes a minute for the one who made a mistake and for the person with them to say, oh God, I didn't mean it to be a mistake. But then to have this sense of humor, or to do a zoom out and look it from the distance with a perspective and see that it's part of life. And when this is an atmosphere for people, the quality of inquiry, the depth of it, the freedom of it, the lucidity of it, the creativity of it is totally different. People are much more creative and playful and joyous. So the energy arises, the creativity arises, and people let themselves be. So I think it pays off.
Right. Well, that appreciation of creativity and joyfulness and playfulness really comes through in the book, and everybody who's read it has just been effusive in praise about how great it is. So I hope everybody watching this will buy a copy and read it and profit from it. Thanks so much, Tova.
Thank you.